Sunday. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I haven't heard a conversation in person since like 20. Yeah, there's no need to be in Yeah, that's the first question. Yeah, that's the first question. Second question is, okay, so what's the average invite? Please. But he is, at least he did this all. He gave us all. Yeah. No, I'm not. Yeah. So, but you can say Easter Sunday. Yeah. I wish I knew that because I could have just given you my copy. I did last night. Okay, sure. Yeah, I usually balance it up to one, but I'm never looked at all. I mean, because I know it's about this. No, not show me up the easy problem with them already. It's very intense for me. So if you want to see how it works right now about sport, do it about if I'm at my mental something, Kevin's conversation with us. Too ashamed. It's the Robin when I paid forever process. Like, wait, I had to remind me to be in it. I just like to share. A lot of great shit.
Yeah.
I got it.
No, thank you, Chair. I gotta do it, Colin. It's bad.
Yes. Him and Adam Jones.
Perfectly describes it.
You know, Adam Jones got 99% of the vote. It's not too bad. What's that? Adam Jones got 99% of the pretty good vote.
Human. Right, that was I think it was one of the attacks. Someone trying to attack the bags. So Bush propane is Bush prolonged. What does he know? How do you talk about
Asking the board.
the word bubble goes western. He's in Kate, he's in care about sick. Theoretically, I won't email you that.
Good morning.
Want to start with questions? Let's start right here on the right with Charlie.
Yeah, Coach, just what's your message to Ty Simpson about the fumbles and maybe how to kind of avoid those moving forward?
Yeah, same as normal. A couple of them that came up there is obviously, for Ty, take care of the ball in the back end of the pocket, two-handed monster, and the message all week that Ty, knows and is frustrated about was got to get the ball out of his hand, and then understanding when your back gets chewed up in protection, what's going on with the route concept and where to put the ball, and Ty knows that he's beating himself up more than anybody.
Go right in front there. Nick?
Yeah, what are the coaching points to running backs about pass pro after just what they put on tape in this game?
Yep, there was 2 reps there. Jam is normally a really dependable guy, and it doesn't come down to anything but balance and hand placement. And Jam just kind of got his weight out over his toes and leaned on one, and Daniel got his weight back inside, and the guy out leveraged him too quickly. And normally those guys are pretty down solid in that. So I think what we told the guys was making sure that we're putting them in enough positions during the week. Are we getting enough one-on-one reps with the your true one linebackers at pass rush? And if we're not doing enough of that for the guys, we got to supplement it, because when you look at something happen on film and it's not what your guys are capable of, it's more about the message we try to give to our guys is like, what are we not giving you enough of in practice? Not get to the film and MF the guys for stuff they didn't do. So we want to fix the problem, and I know our defense, they'll want to do more one-on-ones if that's what we want. So we got to do a better job with that, I think.
Jump to the left side, front row, Colin.
Hey, Ryan. Could you take me through kind of what your game plan or what your approach was on that final 7-minute drive there against Oklahoma? Kind of what was it, just moving down field periodically, setting up a field goal, or kind of what was kind of the plan there?
The plan was to score. 7 minutes, 2 timeouts, plenty of time. And even at the end of the game, I know there was, maybe some people wondering about that, but there was still a minute 30 plus left. We just ran out of downs. 1 timeout left, and we, really had to go 50 some yards or so, somewhere in there, that we had to get down the field to score. And for us, we didn't feel like that was an issue at all. We do that all the time. So, we're just trying to make sure we stay on the field. That was the biggest part. And, ultimately that was the problem. We didn't convert. We ended up having a sack that put us way behind the sticks, which really made things complicated there at the end. And so just trying to keep the ball moving forward against a defense that was pretty good at putting you in negative yardage situations. So I just didn't want the ball to go backwards at any point and then set up the shot plays, which I thought we had a good opportunity at a couple at the end, and we just obviously didn't connect.
Staying on the left side, we'll go to Will next.
Coach, what can you say about the job that Daniel Hill has done over the last few weeks in his performance in the game on Saturday as he's continued to carve out a larger role for himself?
Yeah, he's growing. Everything you want for young players. I think Daniel's, all the guys are competing for, playing time. That's the most valuable thing to them is getting on the field and show that they can help the team. And, for Daniel, he's certainly done that. He wasn't perfect, just like any player. He's working to try to get better at things. But, I think he's shown the capability of being, the guy that can get those tough yards.
Coach, after having a chance to watch the film, what is the biggest takeaway and biggest point of emphasis going forward this week for you?
Yeah, it's, I hate saying it or even bringing it up, but it's turnovers. And, for us, the disappointing part was we always think we prep our guys for that. We always think that we practice that. And to this point in the season, it's been certainly a strong point for us. We have had turnovers, but we've never had more than one in a game. And so when you have critical turnovers and points that come off of the turnovers and you put your defense in tough positions like that, those are crushing blows in a tight football game. So certainly that's a point of emphasis is, decision-making with the ball. How do we take care of it when it is in our hands? So that's the whole thing. Because we felt like, you take care of the ball, we win the game. And it was really that simple. They beat us in two categories, points and turnovers. And those are always the most important. So for our guys, they know that. They know the lesson that was learned there. And we'll certainly put even more emphasis moving forward at practice.
Let's go to Joe, second row on the left.
Coach, how would you assess the wide receiver play of late as far as route running and being in the right spots at the right times? And what's the impact that does for Ty Simpson as far as decision making?
I thought they did a good job. I thought there were some really good routes. I thought guys did a good job of, crossing face on in breakers and got into open spaces in the middle of the field. And unfortunately, a couple of those we weren't able to hook up on, but we're getting better all the time, honestly. I think that some of our guys, the challenges that we've given them, they step up every week. They want to get better at it. I thought we've gotten better against press coverage. Just got to continue to work those man mechanics.
Go to Ryan, right across the aisle.
Hey, Coach, what is your evaluation of the offensive line after watching the tape?
You know what? I thought they played well, honestly. I thought that the last 2 weeks they've been building. It's been a little bit of a slow build. I thought Wilkin played outstanding. We challenged him. Me personally, I put Wilkin, on a spot playing right guard that has not been something he's done over his career, and he played really well. I thought, after you watch the film, the interior of the pocket was as good as I've seen all year. Like, countless times you saw Ty climbing the pocket and able to rip a ball over the middle, and I thought Wilk was a big part of that. So, the stability that they've brought, and then really, the run game part has a really good run defense. And honestly, what we did up front and how we executed was as good as we've done. I know it doesn't feel like that with 80 yards, but the reality is we've been, for the last month or better, it's tough to say, but we've averaged, between 7 and 9 negative yards runs per game. And on Saturday night, we had 2. And they were gains of 0, so technically they weren't negative. And both of those runs, I'll just say it, we just missed them. We had big holes that we just didn't friggin' hit, and it sucks, because the O-line worked their tails off. And that's a part that I know they see that. I know that our guys see that on film. So I thought the O-line played well. I know 4 sacks isn't, very sexy, but, that was a good front and a defense that plays well and could have got the ball a little quicker a couple times. But I thought they picked up some really good pressures and gave us a chance. And honestly, during the week of preparation, I think the O-line was the guys that have really brought the energy and the juice at practice. And I'm anticipating those guys continuing to build and honestly keep taking the right steps forward here late in the season.
All right, let's finish up with Theo, far left.
How do you evaluate Cuevas' performance out there, and do you think that we could see him playing a bigger role in the passing game going forward like he did on Saturday?
Josh is an elite tight end. He's as good a player as we have on this football team. He's heavily involved in the pass game every week. He's always a viable target. And, he's definitely a guy that has the courage to get in there and block as well. You saw him on a couple ISO blocks. He's a phenomenal player. He's a guy that breaks tackles. He's not just a tight end that's going to catch a stick route and fall down. He's absolutely a spark, in our, offense in a lot of different ways. So super valuable guy.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
What's up, gang?
All right, we'll have Coach make his opening statement, and we'll take some questions. Coach?
Okay, obviously very disappointing in the outcome on Saturday. We had in the one touchdown, we gave up. We had 3 missed tackles. Never should have happened. Very, very disappointing in that situation right there. We've improved a lot as a tackling from a tackling standpoint as a team, and never should have let them in the end zone. And then we lost the turnover margin for the first time all season long. So you do those 2 things and you don't win the game. So our players are certainly disappointed. They've got a great mentality right now. On Sunday, they took great ownership of the things that we have to do defensively to put ourselves in position to go win a football game. And they're ready to respond and go do that at a much higher level moving forward. So, this is a team, Eastern Illinois, obviously holds a special place in my heart. It was my first defensive coordinator job at 26 years old, and had some great memories there. I learned a lot positively, and certainly through certain, adversity as well. There's some people that are still in that program. Tom Michael, their athletic director, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and so kind of a neat opportunity to play them, and obviously for our guys, I think we're all just ready to get back out on the field. So looking forward to the week of preparation and practice, and continuing to get better, as all good teams have to do this time of year. You cannot stay the same. You have to find creative ways to better yourself individually, and we got to find ways to be better defensively as well.
Thank you, Coach. Let's start with Nick, front right.
Yeah, Red Morgan's play of late, obviously he got even more opportunities in that game. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, Red Red has always been, he's a good football player. He flashes, he's bouncy, he's very athletic, and he's hard to get your hands on in space out there from a standpoint of, he can kind of, all those field RPOs out there. He's kind of slippery, and he's also a really physical kid. He's probably one of the best strikers I've seen from a tackling perspective. There's a timing and understanding to a great tackle, and to get your foot and shoulder in the ground at the right time to where you have enough forward shin angle and enough lean to be able to maximize that power. Red's probably as good as I've seen at being able to strike, and so he's getting more and more comfortable with his consistency and his execution. He's better and better in man coverage. I think I know he got a penalty the other day, but I really thought he was in great position there. I thought he did a really good job, and so he's just becoming a more and more complete player. That's a young man that we asked a whole hell of a lot of a year ago. To come in here and start for us as a true freshman, and it was because we didn't have another answer, and so we put a whole lot on his plate, and some things he handled really well, and some things he had to really push through the adversity, but now he's come out on the other side as a very good football player. So proud of his fight, and excited to see what he'll do on the back end of the season.
Something Colin on the front left.
Hey, Kane, saw a little bit more of Damani Jackson out there last week. Probably not the season that he predicted for himself. What have you seen out of Damani over the past few weeks as he continues to face the adversity?
Well, I think as much as anything, the maturity that Damani has showed to just go to work every day, find ways to get better. He's had some of his best practice habits over these last 3 to 4 weeks, and it's showing up in games. And I told him I'm proud of him for that. I mean, the way that he has operated, the way he has handled the adversity, in his individual performances, and then still just found a way to put himself in position to go out there and when his number was called, to go make plays. I think he had 5 tackles in the game, which is awesome. And there's a whole heck of a lot of football left, and so to have the maturity to know that your number is going to get called again, and to be ready for that. And I say this to you guys all the time, and I say this to the players. We have to answer for whatever we put on tape, but we also get rewarded for whatever we put on tape. And right now, Damani did a hell of a job the other day.
Let's go to Mike.
Just how close was Quay to playing this game, and what sort of impact can he have when he does get back?
Very close. It was really a game time decision. I know sometimes you use that word, but it was something we were trying to decide in pregame, and I think that we're in position, for him to play very soon. Obviously, he needs to have a good week of preparation and feel good. He pushed last week. We pushed last week, and so we'll see kind of how he has handled that. I haven't seen him since, from an on the field perspective, because we didn't run full speed or anything on Sunday. So we'll get a chance to see what he looks like on Tuesday, and then kind of go from there. But Quay's a very good football player. When he has gone out and he practiced all last week, I was really impressed with how consistent he was in doing his job, his responsibility. I mean, there's a bit of a learning curve, or knocking the rust off a little bit, and he did a really nice job last week. So excited to feel like when he does get back on the field, we're going to be able to get him out there and get him rolling.
Let's finish up with Hunter, far left.
Yeah, Edric Hill's kind of seen an uptick in production lately. Just what have you seen from him over the last couple weeks?
Another young man that's trending in the right direction. I'm as hard on those defensive linemen as I am anybody in the room, and Edric, Jordan Renaud would be another one that we've been tough on those guys. We've challenged those guys, and it's really rewarding to see the maturity of their practice habits show up in games. And Edric's always been a great athlete, and he can create things, with his strength and size and athleticism, but he's becoming a more consistent football player, and those things are showing up on game day. All right, thanks, guys. Roll Tide.
coach to make his opening statement and then take questions.
Yeah. Good morning. Just obviously, just like I said the other night, disappointed in the outcome just from the game. And, I guess the approach I can already see is dialed in. Like I told you, I know the character of this football team. And, this is not a time to sit still. This is a time to keep moving forward. And we see areas that we can continue to improve on. But that's what we have done all season long. We continue to push, continue to go back to work, and these guys, again, they've shown how resilient they are, and you can see the want to in the fight. Getting down early in the game the other night, I think, and how we continued to compete is exactly what you see in the big picture of this season and what these guys are all made up of.
Start with Katie on the back left.
I think Saturday was the first time this year that y'all have used two players back in punt return. Just kind of, was that something y'all saw from Oklahoma that you wanted to try, or is it something they've been kind of building towards all year that it was something you wanted to try on special teams?
Well, their punter was a little erratic. He hit long ones and he did short ones. And so some of the short ones, what would happen is they would roll out and end up being longer kicks because you play for the long game. And so I thought, our guys did a good job of the fielding part. Obviously, we had a turnover, which was a big deal. And so, from a schematic standpoint, that was a lot of the reason for that. And so you saw some of the ones that went longer. Ryan got his hands on those. And obviously field position plays a little bit of a role in that, but there were some shorter ones too. And so, I felt like from a schematic standpoint, what we were doing made sense.
To the right, we'll go to Charlie. All right.
With Saturday being senior day, do you have any kind of update on Jamarian Latham and maybe where he stands on looking to come back for his 7th year?
Yeah, nothing as far as what the future holds. I know we'll continue to talk with him on that here, and obviously there would have to be something that's done from the NCAA level to get that year as well.
Go to Nick, same side, right in front.
Yeah, the extended time of Wilkin at guard and Michael Carroll at right tackle. What did you think of kind of what they did together?
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job. I thought there was things where our execution was certainly improved, and I thought Wilkin did a nice job getting off the ball in some areas. There's a goal line play that I really felt like he really had a low hat and showed some things that he's continued to work on. And Michael was out there competing. He's going to give everything he has. There's no doubt about it. He doesn't look like a freshman, and he's played a lot of snaps this year that are meaningful. And together, I think those guys had a good week of practice. And again, it wasn't perfect. Things that they could have been better on, but there was a lot of success that they had together as well.
Jump over to the front left, Colin.
Hey, Kalen. Two questions, if I may. First, was Deshaun Jones available against Oklahoma? And if so, why did Red Morgan, take the snaps at Husky?
He was available, but he had a good injury the week before in the game, and that definitely limited a lot of his practice throughout the week. And so that gave Red more opportunity. Day was available if we needed him.
Let's go to Joe, right in the middle, second row.
Coach, you addressed the mechanics of the missed field goal on Saturday, but after the missed field goal, the television cameras caught Connor Talty kind of getting upset with David Byrd and the placement of the snap. Just what's your reaction to that, and really what's your message to the entire unit as they look to improve?
Yeah, we're all competitive, and those guys are competitive, and they want to make that kick and have the execution be at a high level. And every single one of those guys are always taking ownership. But obviously in that moment, Connor's a competitive guy, and he knows how important those points are, and the response and everything like that. Not exactly what you want, but it's also an understanding of how important it is to these guys, and they work together relentlessly in practice. I see it. There's a cohesiveness that these guys have. And so, in the locker room, I think they got that resolved very quickly after the fact, and we're ready to go out there and execute more throughout the game.
Far back left, we'll go to Matthew next.
Hey, Coach, early in that game, there was a big punt return from Oklahoma. Just what did you see from your special teams on that play?
I saw Latsier Brooks give unbelievable effort from flying down the field, probably 50-plus yards, to almost getting the guy down and then rolling and getting right back up and chasing probably another 50-plus yards the other direction. I think that guy right there gives so much and has been so productive in the special teams all season. I think there might have been about a split second where one or two guys hesitated, and that allowed for a couple blocks or just some just missed tackles, and then we lost a little contain. We knew in the return game, once he got rolling, he had some good speed, and we've done a great job against returners, but it's that one time when you flinch. And I don't know if we flinched, but we hesitated for a second and thought he was going to be down, and the blocks got back on us, and that's what happens, and it was a big momentum shift early in the game for them. That certainly got them 3 points, and we understand what the difference in the game was, and so there's a few of those one-off plays that were the difference in the game.
Staying on the far left, we'll go to Theo next.
Coach, really big game for Josh Cuevas. We had the big reception by Edwards. Do you think tight ends could play a bigger role in the passing game moving forward?
Yeah, I think both, in particular, Cuevas and Caleb do an amazing job. And that tight end position's always been important to our offense. It's not just the pass game, but it's the run game and the ability and the flexibility these guys have to line up wide, be in the core, move around. It's not just physical, it's mental capacity to do all these things. Josh is a stud. You see him on the one play, make a guy miss in the flat, toe the sideline, and then, lower the shoulder at the end of the run. It's just the competitiveness he has. And Caleb, just continues to get better. You can see him with pad level for a tall guy continuing to work at it. He's got great hands. He's been, throughout the year, a guy that you can consistently count on to catch the ball in tough places. And so there's more to it with our tight end core, but those two certainly get the brunt of what we do as far as the reps.
All right, last question will be from Emily Grace, front right.
Coach, you mentioned that dialed-in approach that you're seeing. How thin is the margin of teams that use a loss like this to dig in and get better, like we've already seen your team do, and those that let it define them? And why has this team been able to show that they've been on the right side of that?
Yeah, these guys, and again, I got in the locker room, and it didn't surprise me, and I shared that with you, or you could feel what the hurt was, but also what the response would be. And the week of practice last week was phenomenal. And I've shared with you guys many times how we can track that, how we can see it, how we can feel it, how we can, understand what that looks like. And the competitiveness, the fight that those guys had, it wouldn't have been there at that level if it wouldn't have been invested in the early part of the week and the process that these guys go through. And that will continue to be the case. We have to use this week to continue to get better, and that is the priority. That's where our head needs to be. And in order for us to continue to have the outcomes we want, we got to make it as simple as possible and focus on what we can control. And that's our mindset, our attitude, and then that leading to the effort and, continually each and every day get better.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet. Thank you.